Heads, we have a lot going on in the world right now. It is getting crazy. The news is picking up every day of war. Wars everywhere and leading perhaps a global war and civil war right here at home in the United States of A. So, my friends, you may not know it, but one of the Russian officials has called for Russian strikes on the United States military, presumably the Navy, as a result of the United States having seized that Russian flagged oil tanker, that ghost ship, and also he's even said that perhaps nuclear weapons should be used. So this is craziness. And on top of that, we may be sending some kind of strike on Iran right now because Iran has they're into the 13th, going into their 14th day of protest over there. They're not abating the Ayatollah's regime. The IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, has indeed fired apparently upon the civilians there in quite a bit in Iran. They've shut down the internet. Hopefully, they thought so that people wouldn't get news on what was going on there inside of Iran. However, in spite of that, the Iranians had Starlink. With that Starlink, they enabled themselves to actually still communicate. Not as well, phone calls aren't going in and out, but people are seeing the images of the vast protest in Iran, which apparently have now spread up to maybe 177 cities. So it is getting intense there. It is rumored that the Ayatollah has actually fled to a camp somewhere in western Iran, excuse me, eastern Iran. This is supposedly from Anonymous, who claims to have hacked the Iranian websites and has the information on what Iran's doing. Now, I don't know how they're hacking websites with the internet down, but that's why I'm calling this a rumor. But as we know, there were plans afoot that would have been told for the Ayatollah, should it get too bad, to flee to Russia. And there's been rumors of planes going out. We do know that some Iranian official went to Syria and he brought his whole family. He's probably not going back. Uh, but they're firing, and Trump has said, hey, if you fire on the civilians, we're going to come get you. And Lindsey Graham has called for the elimination, for the direct takeout of the Ayatollah Khomeini himself. Khomeini, excuse me. So there's so much going on right now. There's China is chafing at Trump over comments he made and regards to Taiwan, and on top of that, all this stuff in going on in Minnesota. Why does it always start in Minnesota? You know, we had the George Floyd stuff in Minnesota, and now we have Renee Nicole Good uh, activities going on there. The left is trying to make this out to be another George Floyd event, and it may explode into that because that's what they want, and especially when now more than ever because of all the graft and corruption that's been uncovered in Minnesota. In fact, it's been there's been billions and billions of your taxpayer money which went to these daycare centers, which didn't even have any kids in them, some of them apparently, and apparently the Tim Walz administration was in on it and actually covered up for this in the past. So they got their hands caught in the cookie jar real deep, real bad. And according to one U.S. representative, they have enough data on him to arrest him over that. There's also calls to arrest him over insurrection because Tim Walz has called for the use of the National Guard, the state National Guard, against federal officials. That is the beginnings of a civil war. So we're not kidding now. We're start talking about civil war. In fact, we've been in something of a cold civil war that's with hot pockets where people have been banged on occasion or attempted to be taken out, as in President Trump on numerous occasions already. And it's not getting any better. It's not getting any better, my friends. But the thing for you to know is with all these potential activities that may be flaring up, and apparently there are protests, perhaps riots, not only in Minnesota, but Colorado and Portland. So these are the reports I'm hearing. I don't know so much about the Colorado activities. Portland has another case in and of itself. So there is a lot of stuff going down right now. Like I said, we may be into getting into it with Iran again. We may be getting into it with Mexico, Colombia, who knows? Greenland. All these things are on the table right now. And on top of that, Russia has fired a Riznik missile, which is a large interim range ballistic missile into Ukraine, but not just any part of Ukraine. They hit western Ukraine right near the border. And apparently, they took out a large natural gas storage facility that was used to send natural gas to Europe. And they're having a cold winter in Europe right now. So, this could directly impact the Europeans. And in fact, this attack, according to the Kremlin, was revenge against the Ukrainian attempt to, as they call it, to assassinate Putin by attacking his home. However, it seems they're also sending a message to Europe and NATO because NATO, come on, what I've been telling you guys all along. I've been telling you guys all along that Russia was not going to stand for any kind of peace agreement that included any NATO forces or NATO countries putting forces in Ukraine. And yet, that is exactly what the European Union come out with, but especially France and Great Britain. And Putin is saying no way. And in fact, the members of the Duma there in Russia are saying that this is a call for World War III. And if they put those troops there, uh, I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't go nuclear. This is, Russia is getting really mad about this. Why they started the entire war was to keep NATO or NATO forces out of Ukraine. That was the purpose of the war, to keep Ukraine out of NATO. And these so-called guarantees are making Ukraine is effectively an Article 5 guarantee, which is, even if it's not officially on a paper, a member of NATO, it's virtually the same. And Russia's seeing through it. They're not going to, whether it's right or wrong, that's not the material here. What we're talking about is what Russia's going to do, how Russia's going to respond to it. Well, right or wrong doesn't matter here. It's a matter of might. And Russia is mad, and they may do something this time. They may take it to the next level because they've spent so much of their resources in this war and lost so many people that to expect them to give up their main objective, it's probably not going to happen. Um, so I see real trouble here. It's not going off the table, and it may make Russia just want to, if nothing else, take the entirety of Ukraine, not settle for the territories negotiated, or obliterate a good portion of Ukraine, and maybe even getting involved with a direct war with NATO nations. NATO, this is going off the charts. Trump has also put in a 500% tariff against nations who he just signed it are trading with Putin, or shall we say Russia. So all these people are calling Trump Putin's puppet can stuff it. It's not the case. He's gave Vladimir Putin every chance to sign a peace deal under terms that were more agreeable to him. So that's why Trump went straight to Russia to start with and try to negotiate directly with them without having Europe involved because he knew what Europe would do. Europe seems to want a war. It seems that the European globalists want a war with Russia. So when you're trying to pick a fight with the biggest nuclear power in the world, it might not be the smartest thing in the world. It just might not be so smart. But the bad thing is, Europe don't have the cojones and the rear end to back it all up. Yeah, they got the GDP, they've got, the population, but they haven't invested in their military. Their military, it's what's been guaranteeing NATO and European security is American forces and American money, American manpower, young American men and women. As we provide more than 50% of the defense of Europe and NATO. And we still do, even with them stepping up their plate. They're finally coming up closer, but I think we're running 50, it's almost 60% of their defense. So it's kind of nuts. And what Europe is planning on still, they got to be banking on pulling the United States into it because they really can't back it up if they get into war with Russia without the United States. So there you go. We may be in a war here. More than we want to get into. That's why I've been saying we should pull out of NATO. Of course, some of the NATO guys have been saying, well, if the United States goes for Greenland, that's the end of NATO, or we should. And one German official said, well, we need to tell the United States to leave all the bases here in Europe and go home. Good. That's exactly what we ought to do. We should say, thank you, sir. We're out. We ought to get the heck out of NATO. We ought to pull out of these bases. Why should we be there at risk and put our boys and girls at risk there in Europe when Europe is going to do whatever the heck they want to do and poke the bear to the point that the bear is liable to strike? So, but there's more activity, covert activity occurring between Russia and Europe and Russia than you might know. And, Russia is doing some things in Europe. So, the Europeans are antsy, but, we're in a tough situation. However, any way you slice it, right or wrong on whatever side here is immaterial to the fact that we're in a pickle coming up. And it does not look pretty with what's going on in Europe. It should be entirely a European thing. Why are we involved in this? And Europe really doesn't, they talk about, backing up the United States. There's nothing they can do that really backs us up. Yeah, maybe they send a paltry forces to Afghanistan and Iraq with us back, in those wars. But, it was nothing substantial, nothing that was game changing. Europe just don't have that much to offer the United States. And for them to drag us into a war, fighting for a continent that is already basically surrendered itself through its immigration policies to a proposition that they're not going to be Europe within a generation anyway. They're a lost cause. Why should we risk our skin, our nation, getting our homeland incinerated, putting our boys and girls at risk over there for a land that don't even mind their own business? They can't even keep their own store or shop in order. That's what I want to know. Now, if you guys agree with my assessment on this, put a 2 in the chat room. I'd like to see what you say. If you don't agree, put a 1 in the chat room. Not everybody's going to agree. I know a lot of people who say we need to go to war with Russia over Ukraine. I know a lot of people saying that right here in the United States of A. Most of them tend to be on the left side of the spectrum. I don't know. What are these guys drinking? What are these guys drinking? What's in their Kool-Aid? I don't know, guys. It doesn't seem to be the smartest thing in the world. Although I will show you guys in the not too distant future some data that claims that we could take out Russia and China both. There's a report that says we could take out Russia and China both entirely, take them out with entirely conventional weapons. Wow. Yeah, if we try that, it's like that old adage, you know, no plan survives first contact with the enemy. And you're really asking for a lot if you go down that road. If you think war is inevitable, maybe you should strike first. And that's what Putin says he'll do. He says if he thinks he's about to be hit, he'll strike first. He said that. And so you got to think about those kind of things. And if he thinks we're going to activate that kind of plan, that makes it more likely that he might do that. That on top of, I think the Golden Dome is a great idea. But before that Golden Dome comes into place, we might indeed see them trying to put a strike on us. But they've got their own version of that report. And it's called All the Hacking That China's Done in This Country, all the sleeper cell agents China has in this country. It's called All the Stuff That's Come Across Our Southern Border from all these people that aren't friendly to us over the years, especially in the last administration of President Potato Head. We are at risk here at home. If you don't believe that, go and look at all the stuff with Redley, California, the biobanks. They keep sending bio agents with professors over here. And there's some seeds that Texas is warning people come from China, don't open the packets. They'd sent seeds here, several years ago, and we were kind of worried about those. But with all the events that could have been a test case, just what they could do. And that's what I said back then. But it could be that, there was nothing in those seed packets, but that doesn't mean, what you do. You want to get your enemy to relax. Oh, it's just the same thing we got before. The next time, it may not be. It may have biological agents in it that could wipe out our crops. So if you get a seed packet unannounced, do not open it. Take it to the authorities, burn it, do something. Don't open some gift seed package from some unknown source, especially if you know it comes from China. But you may not know it comes from China. I got people here in the United States. They can send them here in the United States and remail them right here in this country with all those sleeper cell agents. But guys, they've hacked our grid. They've hacked our internet. They've hacked the Department of Defense. They've got land near all our strategic bases. We spend billions of dollars on our B-2s and other aircraft, billions and billions of dollars, but all it takes is thousands of dollars from all this land near our bases to put a target on our assets. And when they're starting to take off, they might not make it. And this is something we got to be concerned about with all this Chinese land that they like to buy near our military bases, especially our strategic bases. Guys, we're not in a good spot. They could take us down, and they might, especially before they go into a war with Taiwan. China does. They may take us to our knees where we really can't respond. I've covered this many times, many different angles. So if you've not heard this, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and search through my old videos. So this is a serious situation that we're in. Very, very serious that we're up to. So you got to start prepping. You better get prepared. Our grid may go down. It may go down. The sun may take it down if nobody else does. And eventually it will if we don't get it hardened. And don't believe all these reports you're hearing that we've got things this way, we got things that way. Look, I'm a member of the National Task Force on Homeland Security, and we know darn well that those reports are blowing hot air. So this is something I've been warning people about for some time. And, I was one of the first people on YouTube warning people about this stuff. And, I was one of the first people warning people about sleeper cells back, 2018. And yet, of course, some other channel comes up brand new. Oh, there might be some sleeper cells. They'll get 4,000 views, and I'll get like 1,000. Yeah, so you guys need to help my channel out here. Help me spread the word here, because I'm involved in this. Most of these other guys are just talking heads. I'm a member. I've had membership in committees that are fighting to preserve our grid, preserve our homeland security. I've actually had reports presented. I had my white paper presented to the Homeland Security committees in both the House and Senate. What other YouTuber can claim that? Zero. Now, I'm not trying to brag here. It's just that, I get no views, and these other guys who don't know jack diddle about it get tens of thousands of views, maybe hundreds of thousands. And they really don't know jack diddle about it, but they get the views. I don't know why. I don't know why. My channel is stomped on real hard by this platform. That seems to be the only solution I got to it. Because I brought the original data to you guys on this stuff, and I brought you interviews with a lot of people, including General Ken Krosniak, the late great Dr. Peter Vincent Pry, who was claimed by Dave Weldon, former Homeland Security Chairman in the House, to be the top foremost expert on Russian weapons. And he is one of the top experts on EMP. And I've had I've had Ambassador Hank Cooper on this channel, and he was the head of the Strategic Defense Initiative, Pentagon level officer under Reagan. Nobody else has brought you guests like that. So I'll start bringing guest interviews back in here. I'm just getting my feet back in the ground, guys. So I do these things because you need real good data, information. I'm trying to bring you bring you guys the real stuff. We're going to go through some articles here. I don't know how far I'm going to go through them. It is really late. I don't know how many people. We got 101 people in the room. That's amazing given the time. So it says 101 top messages. Okay, I don't know how many people we got in the chat room here. That's interesting. But anyway, so that's interesting. But anyway, so guys, pray for my fellow Aussie. Okay, there's a lot of praying that's needed right now, my friends. A lot of prayers need to go on. So I'm going to go through some articles to highlight what I'm telling you here, because I'm not making this stuff up. I'm not making it up, man. I've got articles from news sources all over the world. I scan stuff from all over the world. I don't go to NBC, ABC, and CBS as my main news, or MSNBC. In fact, it's very rare that I'm going to those sources. And I've got data from members of our committee. I hear a lot of things, but a lot of times it's not with articles. I'm trying to back up what I say with articles. So let's go into it and see what's happening in the world. Give me a second to hit the share button here. Ding, 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 ding. And I brought you a lot of my own analysis like nobody else has on several topics. So anyway, Vladimir Putin ally threatens nuclear response to Donald Trump's tanker seizure. Now, let's go on this. And I'm going to talk about this tanker a little bit too. So they say this was the same as an attack on Russian territory. Well, that's a bit of a stretch, but I'm going to explain this in a minute. So this Alexei Zuralovov, however you say his name, I know that's not right, who is the first deputy head of Russia's State Duma, which is their Congress, Defense Committee. So he is a high up official with the defense governance in Russia. But he's demanded military action against Washington. He said, we need to provide a military response attack with torpedoes or sink a couple of American boats. He said it is essentially attack, the same as an attack on Russian territory since the tanker was flying our national flag. There is no doubt we must respond firmly and swiftly. Our military doctrine even envisions the use of nuclear weapons in response to such an attack. Yikes, guys. So there he is. This is a guy who wants to sink our ships. Now, let's think about this for a minute. This tanker was one of those ghost ships. It was flagged originally under Iran, I believe. And then they changed, once they fled the blockade and started running back trying to get to Russia, they actually they actually changed their flag, changed the name of the ship, changed the flag, and then Vladimir Putin calls up Donald Trump and asks him to leave the ship alone. And then they sent a submarine. They sent a submarine to escort this ship, and the United States still went on board and seized it, apparently with the aid of the United Kingdom. So the United States seized that ship anyway. It's like, beat sand, Putin. That's basically what they told him. And so this is why they're responding. Now, so yeah, it was flying a Russian flag. Was it originally truly Russian? Probably not, but it was serving a Russian vital function. This is what I'm telling you guys. The vital function it was serving is transporting, or as part of the fleet that moves and sells Russian petroleum products. And as such, that is the core of the Russian economy and their means for paying for their war with Ukraine. And Donald Trump is trying to defang the Russian economy. And that's a big part of what he's doing in Venezuela. That's a big part of what they're doing with this blockade and trying to shut these ghost ships down. And the seizure of these is tightly related to that. And so is that 500% tariff that Russia is that Trump has put out there. I'm not reading the script against Putin and Russia, I should say. So that 500% tariff is meant to really take the wind out of Russia's economic sails and their ability to prosecute their war, which that might be the most effective way to do that. But also you might know that all these attacks that Ukraine has been putting out against Russian refineries and storage facilities is the same thing. And that's been going on for some time. On top of that, that's partially why Putin has responded the way he did with that Russian missile attack in Western Ukraine. So these things are all related. They're all tightly coupled. And it is a form of a World War III, to be quite frank about it. And we are participating in some degree by trying to cut off Russia's economy. So the idea, all this stuff is suggesting that we could get drawn into it. And as again, you see, as I predicted long ago, Russia was not going to go for this. They reject the Ukrainian peace proposals and condemns the axis of war, as they call it, the West right now over this. So Russia rejected the coalition of the Willing plan to put Western peacekeeping troops in Ukraine once the war ends to deter further aggression by the Kremlin, saying those forces would be legitimate military targets from Moscow forces. So I'm not kidding you guys about that. This is something that Russia's been insisted on. Even before they went into Ukraine, Vladimir Putin put out a very long, detailed speech, really describing their issue with the advancement of NATO against Russia. And considering how many times Russia's been invaded over the past, they are paranoid about that. They are very paranoid about that, especially when you consider all the losses they took in World War II. I don't think Europe today could mount anything like that, but still, Russia is paranoid about it. And they know with their population falling, this is their last best chance to try to secure that border. But they're eating their own population and demographics in doing so because they've lost too many of their own young men. So Russia is in population free fall. It's not good for Russia. This war is not good for Russia either, quite frankly. But we got this Ukrainian politician who is based in Russia. He's from Ukraine. He's claiming that there's now a risk of a third world war, and it's growing since France and the United Kingdom signed a declaration of intent to establish military hubs in Ukraine. He said if that truce is agreed to, the move follows talks. That's what he's claiming here. So you can see the war talk is just going up. It's escalating. This so-called peace deal is actually apparently inflaming more World War III flames than anything else. So it is backfiring. This peace deal may be a war deal. Okay, how come this thing won't go here? I'm going to have to stop the share for a minute because it's got me to the point I can't advance my stuff. Hang on. Hello. All right, we're going to go back in and try to share again. Sometimes that happens. All right. Putin's hypersonic strike. This is talking about the resonant missiles hitting Ukraine and claiming it's a revenge strike because Kyiv had targeted Putin's residence. Uh, Ukraine is denying that, but that's beside the point. That's what they're claiming. The strike happened. So, and the counter strike here. So, yeah, like I said, this is close to NATO and EU territory, and it was aimed at Europe's largest underground gas storage facility. The largest underground gas storage facility, which happened to be inside Ukraine, but barely. So, again, this is as much as anything a hit on European Union, on NATO. And that's what they said. They're going to do this to me again. Oh, Lord. Let me stop the share. I cannot, for some reason, there's a glitch in the software. Sometimes I can't advance without stopping the share and coming back. I don't know why that happens, but it's supposed to happen. Don't do that to me every single time now. This is aggravating. Anyway, this missile traveled 1,800 kilometers in 13 minutes. It shows how fast they can wreak havoc with these missiles. And this is the strike. Look at it coming in here, guys. Look at it coming in here. This is the warheads coming in right here. They're coming in really fast like lightning. See this way? Well, maybe sure. Let's go back. I don't play the whole thing. Watch. Did we miss it? Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to play it again. Let's go on. See if I can. Oh my gosh. Here we are. I tried to open the tab and it killed it. Sometimes I got so many tabs up. Sometimes I can't open one without hitting the X. Try not to, but that tab I just X'd was a tab showing how many missiles attacks Russia did on the 9th of January. It was very extensive. Anyway, but now maybe Russia is having a rough time. Here's their latest technology in armored cavalry is strapping Starlink terminals on horses, arses, as Russian cavalry makes historic return. Guys, Armageddon, in the Bible and Revelations talks about horses. Well, don't discount it. There may be real horses in Armageddon battle. Furthermore, I'm suggesting there's going to be a bunch of robotic horses, especially if you come from China. So uh, you can expect these kind of things. So Starlink terminals on horses. The Russian cavalry, horse-mounted, tanks are considered cavalry. In the United States, our 101st Airborne, or their helicopters, is considered cavalry. Anyway, and they fight kind of like Nathan Bedford Forrest's cavalry. Nathan Bedford Forrest uses horses to move his cavalry, but he then had them dismount and fight his infantry, which is, he never lost a battle either. Anyway, back in the War of Northern Aggression, as I call it. So anyway, uh, but this is where the 500% tariffs I was telling you about. Indeed, he signed the bill. And this, unlike the other tariffs that Trump unilaterally declared, he unilaterally declared a lot of tariffs through executive order. This came from Congress. This passed the House. It passed the Senate and was signed as a bill by President Trump. So this is law of the land. This isn't something that he can just negotiate off on and on. It's there. So this is law of the land now. And this is a lot more official than the other tariffs were. And those are very stiff tariffs. 500% is very stiff. And that would probably include China. And what else you need to know is that the doomsday plane is flying around Washington, D.C., according to the latest reports. And that's got a lot of people concerned that Trump's going to try to do something, that it's going to be a World War III warning, that this could be related to potential action on Iran, although Iran shouldn't be a country that would need us to put up a doomsday plane uh, unless it escalates and involves other players. Yeah, some people are thinking it's because the United States is about to attack Greenland. I don't think that's the case because I think the Trump administration believes they can negotiate a deal. So I don't see that. And it could just be, training, part of the exercise, or it could be just a move to bluff other powers in the world. And that's a good probability. Anyway, guys, it may be time to invest in things that give you some values when the dollar is challenged. Uh, your money in the bank is all digital. You need to have some kind of assets you can hold. And for that reason, you might consider gold or especially silver. Gold is still at a pretty darn good price at $4,512.40 a troy ounce. And silver is banging on $80 a troy ounce. Look at this, guys. 79.99. If you'd like to invest in that, one of the best sites you can go to and get the best prices of anywhere is defythegrid.com. Their prices are best because they deal on 3 to 4% margin and profit, which is unheard of low. But they're still willing to give you 1% if you use discount code GreenGregs. Discount code GreenGregs. You can get things like goldbacks, and they also have a silver equivalent to goldbacks. This is gold that you can fold and put in your wallet in amounts that are fungible. Which means you can buy small items with them, trade and barter with it. So there you go. Defythegrid.com, discount code GreenGregs. Is this going to open? What's going on here? Here we go. China threatens to deal head-on blow to Taiwan. Some are saying that it's thought that his attack on Venezuela would embolden Beijing. Beijing's already got plans in this area. They have already are planning to do something there. When you think their entire defense structure, the anti-access air denial missile forces, their ships, mostly being short-range ships, their roll-on, roll-off amphibious landing craft that they developed, which can land on any beach or lack of beach, anywhere there's a shore, is all arrayed, a huge investment intended to take Taiwan. And they've been training for that. So that could happen this year. Xi Jinping told his forces to be ready to hit in 2027. That was his public announcement. You're not going to tell the world when you're going to do something. So it was more likely he would do it earlier if he was going to do it. Although it might be 2027 or after Trump's term, as Trump claims. But we just don't know. We just don't know. But they may try to take us to our knees before these things happen. As I've said, especially if they think we're going to respond, which they do think that. U.S. reserves Cold War era base to build the world's largest weapons hub just miles from China. This is Subic Bay in the Philippines. My friends, Subic Bay has been built up, and that is proof that although we may be establishing spheres of influence, and that may be part of the Donroe Doctrine, setting the United States up as a civilizational state, but we haven't left our allies out of it. We do have direct defense treaties with the Philippines and with Japan. And China has been bullying the Philippine fleets quite a bit. Uh, even though China comes out and talks about, you know, they condemn the attack on Venezuela as, an attack on another nation's sovereignty and says you can't be hitting another nation's sovereignty, but they're doing it themselves. Talk is cheap with China. They accuse everybody else of everything. They think they should have a free hand at doing the same. If you disagree with them, they're going to scream and holler, and their press comes out with all kind of accusations and all kind of hooey. But basically, and part of their claims, well, you see, if they attack Taiwan, well, that's not attacking a sovereign country according to their lingo, because they claim Taiwan is part of the PRC, People's Republic of China. It never was, because the Taiwan is governed by the Republic of China, the pre-existing government which fled to Formosa Island, which we call Taiwan, and set up their capital in Taipei. It was the government of China before the revolution, the communist revolution. So there you have it. So and it operates as an independent republic. And the people there don't even consider themselves Chinese. They're ethnically Chinese, but they don't consider themselves Chinese anymore. They consider themselves Taiwanese. So anyway, China didn't like Trump's subtle warning, and he basically said he hoped they wouldn't attack. He said his big language was that he wouldn't be happy if so he said he'd be very unhappy if Beijing attacks Taiwan. Now you got to understand when Trumpese, that's his lingo that might suggest he might do something. Trump talks differently than a lot of people. He's got a different way of manner of talking. But if you understand Trump and what he says, that's a pretty loaded statement. Very unhappy. That could carry consequences. I think Trump was very unhappy with Maduro, for example. Anyway, so China cites Biden's message to Z that Japan could build nuclear weapons overnight. This is uh, more justification for China's angst with Japan. So we can expect, because Japan has now said, and they recognize that if Taiwan falls, they're probably going to fall next, even if China didn't do anything to them directly, because they cut off their trade routes. And to uh, Japan, they live on trade. Trade is vital to Japan's existence. And if suddenly everything in the South China Sea was cut off after the taking of Taiwan, Japan would be in death throes, basically. And so Japan has recognized that if Taiwan is hit, they got to do something. And now China don't like that. So China is throwing up a lot of sand over that, and now they're going back to the fact of the matter is that Japan's got a lot of nuclear reactors. They could be prepared to develop nuclear weapons very fast, and this is something that the intelligence community's been saying for a long time. They could develop nuclear weapons, and basically in a matter of days, maybe weeks, faster than what we usually accuse Iran of being able to do, and probably would be a lot faster. So, these things could escalate. And this is why China is more likely to strike Japan, a nation that we have a treaty with. You can see how this Taiwan attack could easily pull us in, whether we want to go into it or not. And if we're going to go into it, it'd be better to do it early than late. So, uh, China's massive, well, and we can't win directly against China right now. The best way to deal with China is to choke them off. And it looks like Trump is already moving chess pieces to do just that. The fall of Iran, on top of the fall of Venezuela, would really cut off a whole lot of the Chinese oil supply. And that would put China in a world of hurt for being able to do for their economy and to be able to prosecute war on their end. So it might be that they could be starved out from before they even start. And maybe that's what Trump's trying to do, or at least the set the game board where he can shut off at any time of his choosing what's going to China. Uh, and China stands to lose other assets. They made huge loans to Maduro because they wanted the Venezuela as part of their operational base for striking America as they've practiced in their war games of war in the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico, which I've covered previously. So this was a strategic asset to them. And a lot of their loans were loans that never would have been paid back anyway, because a lot of that money was squandered in Venezuela. And China knew it, but they were willing to take that loss for the assets that they were getting in exchange. But there were some loans that they did hope for some payback on. They're probably not going to collect it. But this pales in comparison to the value of the assets that Hugo Chavez seized. uh, Venezuela didn't develop the petroleum industry. The United States companies did. They didn't have the wherewithal, the knowledge, the resources to do it. United States oil companies went in and developed Venezuela's oil assets. And because the United States had the expertise. And then they were seized. All the company's assets there were seized by Hugo Chavez, the forerunner of Maduro, when he nationalized this stuff and started his, socialist, communist, whatever you want to call it, regime there. So these are facts that a lot of people just aren't aware of. Um, so I'm bringing you this, guys, so that you'll understand that, even though China is chafing about it and throwing out a lot of sand, what they're fussing over pales in comparison to the investment that America had made there. In fact, that's what basically, or Venezuela is still running on the dregs of those days, the dilapidated remnants of what U.S. companies do. How come I can't close this? Later, close. There we go. Now, our neighbor to the north. Maybe this is why we need Greenland. Maybe we really need to contain Canada between Alaska and Greenland, because our neighbor to the north is cozying up to China. The relationships are thawing, they're getting warm. Mr. Mark Carney. Well, let's tell you about Mr. Mark Carney. Mr. Mark Carney is a consummate, deep insider in the globalist World Economic Forum community. Deep insider. He was governor of the Bank of England. You don't get more insight on that than this. Governor of the Bank of England. He was also the chairman of the Bank for International Settlements Committee on the Global Finance System. It's the banks that are trying to run the world through the WEF, the banks and certain large corporations, trying to put us into a global gulag, a basically a new feudalism where the people at the top can stay at the top, nobody else can get there. That's why you'll own nothing, have no privacy, but you're going to be happy. Anyway, so he was, remember, the group of 30 on the foundation board of who? The World Economic Forum. He was part of the Bilderberg Group. Does he sound like a globalist? He's definitely a big-time liberal. This is why he's against where the United States is heading, trying to break this outfit here that's got the logo behind him in this picture, if you know what I'm talking about. The House of Klaus. When I talk about the House of Klaus, I'm trying not to aggravate the Al Gores that have no rhythm on this platform. I kind of stepped on that a little bit here tonight. But governor of the Bank of Canada, big-time banker. A bankster. That's what I like to call them, banksters. There he is, Mark Carney. He is not our friend. He's not the friend of the people in Canada either. They just don't know it. And we've seized another tanker. We're seizing a bunch of them now. It just keeps going on. Later. Oh my gosh, I mean, what? I don't see his picture. So Lindsey Graham says Trump would assassinate Iran's supreme leader if crackdown continues. He said Trump is going to KU. Let's just put it that way. I gotta be careful what I say on here. Even that A word may be too much to say on this platform. But guys, this is not something I'm coming on. I'm not making this up. I'm just reporting the news that a lead U.S. senator is claiming. I'm no fan of Lindsey Graham, as you probably know, because he's a war hawk. He's never seen a war he didn't like. I'm no fan of him. But this is what he's saying. And he may be talking truth here because we may have assets already on the way. What's known is that we have tankers heading that way, refueling tankers. And that is a big sign that we may be about to do something. Here we're talking about the internet service being cut off because they wanted to do bad things, the people protesting there, and they didn't want the world to see it. But thank God for Starlink, the world is seeing what's going on there. It's the harsher crackdown I was talking about. So, okay. Okay, we're not advancing now, so I'm going to have to stop the share again. Jeez. Hello. Let's go back to it. For some reason, when I try to tap through these things, that happens. Hope I'm hitting the right spot. There we go. Oh my gosh, now we got to do this all over again. Break out all the pop-ups. And it's being claimed that Greenland is fair compensation to the U.S. for our NATO spending. How about that? Since we have spent so much over so many decades. Oh, I can't find my, there it is. I lost my mouse. Okay, this page is frozen. I can't even scroll it. I bet I can't go nowhere else. Yeah, I got to stop share again. Wow. This is aggravating. My apologies, but I can't help it. It's stupid software. All right, I clicked on the next page, so it went there. All right. So, and Trump is saying, hey, we're going to hit the cartels in Mexico. We're going to start hitting them. He just come out and said that. And I had other articles on that topic. Maybe there's somewhere else here. If not, I'll mention in a moment. Senator Rick Scott says Cuban government will be overthrown this year or next year. Why is he saying it? It's because Cuba's getting most of their petroleum from Venezuela. Suddenly, Cuba, they'll still get some from Mexico, but Mexico cut down the portion of petroleum they were going to send to Cuba. So Cuba is going to be starved for gas, oil, and their economy is already on the brinks. And there have been protests in Cuba in the past. So the Cuban government may fall as a result of us taking Maduro. And that would also put at risk another big Chinese base, which they have on Cuba, which we think is a listening post to spy on us, but it may be more. So, are we talking shades of the Cuban Missile Crisis? Yeah, that's kind of what we've allowed China to build up. So, and now here's the other big thing. Trump, our defense bill this year went almost to $1 trillion. Trump is asking for $1.5 trillion next year. But he's also beating on the defense companies. Say, hey, you've got to quit taking so much profit and giving yourselves so many big bonuses and all the stock buybacks and all these lucrative things you've been doing with the defense contracts. I want you to build weapons. I need you building weapons and a lot of weapons and build them fast. And the fact of the matter is, one of the reasons we can't fight a war with China is we don't have enough ships. We don't have enough munitions. Our munitions are only going to last a week or two. And so Trump is trying to get the Defense Department in line. But also, a big chunk of this is to go to building the Golden Dome, which he wants to be completely operational before his term ends. Some people say that's impossible. They claim it's going to take 15 to 20 years. Actually, we do have the technology. If a companies like SpaceX and Anduril got involved in it, it could basically happen, possibly. But you remember we sent men to the moon 8 years after Kennedy called for it. That was a huge challenge. Engineering technology had to be developed. We've already essentially got this technology. It's just got to be refined. It's using the 1980s brilliant pebbles and updating it with today's assets and launch capabilities like we use for Starlink, basically. Uh, so brilliant pebbles was quite a capable system. So this technically could be done. That may be why Donald Trump is beating on the defense company so hard right now. He wants to see it happen. He don't want any waste anymore. Because the defense companies have been milking our economy. They've been milking the United States for some time. And Trump is basically saying cut that out and make stuff. Oh yeah, okay. Apparently I don't have that article in here, but maybe it's coming up. Maybe it's one of these. No, I must have accidentally closed it. So what I wanted to say before we went into this, I had a couple other articles pulled up. Uh, Ms. Sheinbaum, president of Mexico, is suddenly, with Trump talking like this, claimed that she would cooperate with the United States, that she's trying to strike a new deal with the United States because she thinks this stuff is about to go down. She wants cooperation, but maybe that's so she can warn her cartel buddies. uh, but then she's also kicked back at this proposition that Trump put out there. So I don't know. On another front, we're in a situation where AI can now be used to create viruses from scratch. And so we're one step away from the perfect biological weapon. These are weapons that could be tailored to take out specific peoples, or even individuals if they wanted to, or the entire population of the world, and built easily. So this is not a good thing. And this isn't just a capability the United States has. Anybody would develop an AI, and China's really racing for it. And we know that there's a lot of allegations that the laboratories in Wuhan were gearing up for just this kind of thing. So, yikes. Um, but one AI expert had claimed that AI would end humanity in 2027. It's changed his tune on it. And this is Daniel, how you say that? Tagulo. I don't know how you say that. Anyway, I don't even know if that's a Japanese name or a Hispanic name. If it's Hispanic, the J's and H. I don't know. Anyway, he's now claiming it'll be 2035 before there is actually artificial general intelligence. Yeah, and he don't know when this would actually could take place. I got a guest I'm planning to bring on. I may put him on Galactic Greg's, but he's got topic. It's Alex Lightman. I've known him for a long time, especially through the uh, work some of our space activities. Kind of drawing blank on what I was trying to say. Anyway, uh, he's got what he thinks is a solution to this. So I'm going to bring him on as a guest and interview him soon. Uh, anyway, GOP lawmakers are asking Trump to arrest Waltz for insurrection. So there you got it, guys. We may be on the verge of a civil war. Now, it is almost 3 o'clock my time. I had a bunch of articles up here talking about what's going on with the ice in Minnesota and more of this stuff with the Minnesota. I think I'm going to skip this for now and bring it up on my Silverhead News channel. I'm not going to be on there for a while. And this is more political, so it's probably better suited my Silverhead News channel. So I think I will skip that from these articles right here to then and just skip ahead, especially given how late it is. I got somebody coming here in the morning to work on a vehicle of mine, so I need to be able to hit the hay. um, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to skip that. Seed packet, we talked this, so here it is. Texas official warns residents not to open mysterious seed packets over 1,000 landed mailboxes. Over 1,000. The chances of somebody inadvertently or accidentally opening one of these, even with this call by Texas officials, is all too great. In biological agents, they only require a few of them. If they can actually get out in the environment in the right places, can do a lot of damage. So that's scary. Now here's the good news. We have some good news tonight, my friends. The pesticide industry has got their immunity shield stripped by the U.S. appropriations bill. I reported on this thing, what, about 3 or 4 months ago on one of my videos, talking about how they were trying to make the pesticide industries immune from lawsuits. It was very coded language, very, it was lawyerese that you wouldn't read. If you read it, you wouldn't understand that's what it was trying to do. And I explained that to you guys many moons ago already. And I asked you guys to go to my Freedom Restoration Foundation website and look up how to contact your Congress critters. I gave you the bill number and everything. I said, don't let them do it. Well, the good news, somebody got to them and they decided to strip that out. That is good news. So I do bring you some good news. It's not all doom and gloom. And why is that good? Because it's not just glyphosate or Roundup. We're finding these other pesticides have, oh, where'd that article go? I had another article that got knocked out. There's some other pesticides they're finding are 4 times higher, give you 400% higher risk of getting Parkinson's disease. If I hate that. Well, a lot of times I put articles up here and a lot of them get inadvertently closed out. But the chances for Parkinson's disease and other diseases are higher. They're spraying stuff you eat with things they have to wear full mop suits, full body protection, face masks, chem suits to apply to food that you're going to eat. There's just something wrong with that picture. When you got to be dressed up in full chemical protective clothing to spray stuff on, and you're spraying it on food we're going to be eating, there's just something wrong with that picture. Something grossly wrong with it. And I'm going to tell you, our ag industry, the big corporations, they don't give a flip about you. And the medical industry is happy if you're sick because they're making more money too. So they don't give a flip about you, not really. So I'm going to be bringing you guys an opportunity to change some of the things you buy in the not too distant future. Now, I'd like to end with a little fun sometimes. Sometimes I like to end things with a little fun. So apparently there's one thing that all white people have in common, according to this viral bird theory. All white people have this one thing in common, according to this theory. According to this theory, in the household of all white people, you'll find a bird. It might be a painting, it might be a little figurine, it might be a picture, but they claim that every white household has a bird in it somewhere. Have you heard about the bird? Uh, so that's the claim that every white household has a bird. White people are fond of birds. Now, whoever thought of that? Yeah. But according to this article, that they've a lot of people were saying, "No, I don't have a bird," and then go back and look through their home. Oh, I do. My mother gave me something, or somebody gave me something. Yeah, I got a bird, and I don't know. So it just so happens I must not be white, at least right now, because I don't have a bird in my house. I got some eggs, but that's not a bird. Uh, I got it. Well, I do have a couple birds in the refrigerator to eat. Maybe one part of another. Uh, some rotisserie chicken, but that's not what they're talking about here. They're talking about symbols. They're talking about figurines. They're talking about paintings or something like that, depicting the bird. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not white now, but I did in the past have birds. I got some in the storage because when my mom passed, I acquired some of the things she had. She had a lot of birds. I had a couple of big pheasants that I used to keep on a dresser. I think they're still out there wrapped up, and maybe a quail and something else that she had had. So she used to have a lot of chickens and chicken paintings. My mother had a lot of chicken figurines. And I didn't take most of those, but I did take it, a couple. The big pheasants she used to keep on her fireplace. So yeah, rotisserie chicken. Yeah, I don't think rotisserie chicken counts for what they're talking about here. So I think this is humorous. If you don't have a bird in your house, put a 3 in the chat room. If you got a bird, put a 4. I don't have a bird in this house. So like I said, I must no longer be white. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe having something in storage counts. If it does, I'm guilty. Then I'll have to be white. So anyway, like I said, after all this oppressive news, I like to throw in something a little funny every now and then. This is what I'm throwing in for y'all today. So all right, we got some people that don't have a bird. Go back and look. Anyway, that's curious. It's humorous anyway. So earthquakes. Alaska's got a bunch of small earthquakes, which is pretty typical. And we got one over here close to San Andreas Fault. These are small earthquakes. What's this one? Arizona, 3.7. I think that's in the very northern part of the state. I did not feel that one. I did feel one here about not quite a year ago. 2.8 in South Dakota. What's the one doing up there? Amarillo, Texas, 2.8. I just drove through there a few days ago. The Puerto Ricans are dancing hard as they usually do. We step back a little bit. We can see the Ring of Fire is amply populated with 5.6, and Fiji, South Fiji, Kermadec Island region, 5.3, 5.1, and Vanuatu, Japan gets a lot of earthquakes, 4.9, 4.4. The Kamchatka Peninsula is still getting a lot of earthquakes right now. They had that big one that took out their submarine fleet there. After their submarine fleet was taken out, and after Operation Spiderweb by the Ukrainians hit so many of the strategic bombers in Russia, a lot of Americans were calling for us to hit Russia, for attacking Russia. You believe that? Anyway, uh, the sun has actually had a little CME coming out. They think we might see 5.5 class solar flare. They think we might get a little storm. We got some aurora activity going on right now. Not a lot in the sunspot department. We got a fair size one here, 4336. It looks like sunspot. But you need a pair of them to really give you a good solar flare. Click on the see where the auroras are. Really good in northern Alaska up here. I say if I was at Fort Greely, I'd be seeing that. Coronal hole. There's a big coronal hole, but this one's odd. It's more like an arc or a circle. That's a strange looking coronal hole. Anyway, here's a business I should be in. All the balloons I used to launch. Why ain't I flying mementos up on balloons and selling them? Maybe that's what I should do. I've flown a lot of balloons. But nothing big in the asteroid department coming at us. Nothing that we know of that's threatening coming up anytime soon, at least before the 9th of March that we know about. And we always find a bunch later, but there's no red ones anywhere on this list. Nothing came in between the Earth and the Moon in this date range from the 4th of January to the 9th of March. So, yeah, you can see this don't have a lot of activity on this chart, which typically shows the ones that you might be concerned with. There's only a couple of them on there. That's the least population I've seen on that chart in a long time. So that's good news. Anyway, stop the share. So we made it through the news articles. I'm going to probably have to come back on Soulhead News and talk more about what's going on in Minnesota. I will hopefully do that tomorrow. I'm going to check the chat room here. Is Kim Possible in the house? It's in the house. Yay! Kim Possible's in the house. That's going to be a good reason. I'll check the chat room. I like to go and check my donations. So I usually find my email quicker than going to PayPal. And we have a donation. Yes, we have a super chat from, as I suspected, from Kim Possible. $20. Salute to Kim Possible. We thank you very much for your support of the channel. Thank you, Kim. Thank you very, very much. All righty. And that's one reason when I go through the chat, I like to do that on the computer and end it on my phone. I'll put it up on the phone just in case a super chat comes across while I'm not looking at the chat room. more than anything else. So the news portion of this is over. I'm going to look at the chat here briefly. I'm not going to read everything because it is really late. It's 3 o'clock in the morning here, and I got to get up soon. I didn't get much sleep last couple of nights. Aloha. How he listening? Hey, Calamity Chain, how you doing? Calamity Chain instead of Calamity Jane. Prepper Nation. Mr. Dunham. Arnold's in the house. Very good. New Days. Yeah, she's up early for New Days. That's early hours for her. Good to see you in the house, New Days. Uh, all the sun. She's all the sun. I'm all his own. Alice Sun. Davis. Halo. It's Davis 0884. Oh, Hillbilly. Good to see you. Mark Graham. I know some of you guys are up, either getting up really early or you're up really late, one or the other. So I'll open this up and get some idea how many people are in the house. I don't see that. How many people are in the house right now? Why am I not seeing that? Oh, there it is, 122. Pretty good for this crazy hour. Of course, that may not be right. Let's see. YTers are like we used to say AB, some women say some she bought. I don't know what you're saying there. That's worrisome. AB, some women. No, I don't follow you. Linda Moses, pray for us. Prayers for Australia. You're my favorite rocket scientist. Well, thank you, Teresa. Teresa Stratton. Uh, Rosemarie says, as well would say, Australian slang, the world has gone to, yep, it has. Nicholas, good morning. I never met Wernher von Braun, but I met a lot of people that did meet him. A lot of people worked directly for him. I used to know a lot of the old Germans and a lot of the Americans that were involved in developing the Saturn V rocket and even its predecessors, the Redstone rocket. Yeah, I knew people worked on the Redstone rocket and the Saturn rocket. Let's see here. Hey, I got a neighbor on here, Eddie Bowie. I hope I'm saying it right. Eddie, good to see you. He's a local guy. He's up late, as most of you are. Rodney. Hey, Rodney, how you doing? Hey, Rodney's made an offer. If anybody gives $100 super chat, the next $300 super chats, he'll give them a free knife. He's a master knifesmith. So I'll give him a shout out. And he's from down under in Ozland. He can kick rocks. There you go. There's a lot of people need to be kicking rocks right now, right? Oh, Drew says, "Caw." Is that like a crow? We're talking birds now. Or is my egg number? Well, you shouldn't. Yeah, hold your guesses until I ask for it. But I didn't get any eggs tonight. Zero. I got goose eggs, zero. So, yeah, we don't need to be guessing eggs tonight. I'll probably get more tomorrow. Now, I was getting 4 eggs a day for a few days there. I think on one day I might have got 5 eggs in the last few days, but nothing, nothing right now. 15 degrees here in the homestead, Eddie. Cold in northeast Arizona, indeed. That is true. It's going down, they said, to 12 or 14 tonight right here on my homestead. Well, in Snowflake. I don't live in Snowflake, so it could be cooler here. Around they're saying 13 degrees, 13 to 14, somewhere in that neighborhood. At one time, the forecast said 8 degrees. Glad it's not going out down that deep because I would have to drip my faucet, which meant I'd have probably go outside and crank up my generator. Because when I have that little pump running under my sink all night, even if it's just dripping, it's going tut 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 tut, makes a lot of racket, and it'll take my batteries down to 50%. That's just too low. I have a bluebird of happiness. Hey, that's a good bird. I love bluebirds. We used to always, when I was growing up, we always built nests for bluebirds. Eddie, I love chicken. Me too. Pheasants, says Drew Stead. 20 eagle figures. All right, we got a bunch. I have a hawkwing for smudging. Okay. Hey, you got some owls too, don't you, nowadays? I think you got some owls. You got an owl and a cat, right? For the owl and the pussy cat. And you got a raven skull. Yeah, I know that. Odin knows who's got ravens. Let's see here. Big brass eagle. No birds, just squirrels. Tweety count. Uh, yeah, Tweety counts. Let's see. Whoops. Hey, we got Cha Cha in the house. Good to see you, Cha Cha. We prayed for you the other night. How are you doing, Cha Cha? We know you had a lot of bad weather in your neighborhood. Cha Cha also had lost a house, home, and fire. She's had a lot of challenges, guys. She's always deserving of some prayers. She's been a good supporter of the channel here. Good to see you, Cha Cha. All right. Chickens don't like the cold. No. Egg laying goes down when it gets cold. I'm surprised I was getting 4 eggs a day the last few days. I really was. Well, I got 12 hens, but typically they don't lay this time of the year. My Easter eggers aren't laying too well. My Dominicers seem to be the ones doing all the laying. I got a mix. I got one Leghorn. I've got several Dominicers and a few Easter eggers, and I haven't really counted how many of which one. I got 12 hens overall on a rooster. Girl Scout Bluebird. Okay. Stray Kitten, Jesse Mills. Well, we're in here at Samuel Turner. Samuel Turner's good. John Cole, he's probably in bed. It's we're in here early. So usually when we come in this late, we get a lot of people from Australia and down under, maybe New Zealand. Hi, Greg. You prayed for me. Oh, thank you so much. Yes, we prayed for you. We did a prayer for you right here on the channel. Absolutely. We're all family, right? America says all the sun. Okay, yeah, we're all family here. So, when we know one of our family members is in trouble, we like to pray for them. A lot of times people are in trouble, we don't know about it. But um, good evening, all the chat. Been just listening. Hope all are well. I pray blessings to you all and peace be with you. Okay, H. Lammers, appreciate that. Pyramid 7 as well. Yeah, Pyramid 7, Soul's Eye. They were my two original mods. But the hours we come in here is kind of tough for them to hit. I don't think we have Colorado Jan in here tonight. We hadn't seen her in a while. She's somebody that stays up late most of the time, but Happy New Year. Yes, Happy New Year to everybody. This year has been off the charts. This year, every day of this year is like a year. There's so much going on in the world right now. Every day is a whole new year, it seems like. It is. This year has been very eventful. And there's those that always say, okay, nothing ever happens and nothing's going to happen. Well, guess what? You guys can go pound sand because we got a lot of stuff happening right now. So people with that attitude just need to go pound sand because you were way off from what's really going on. Anyway, everybody, since we're here in a weird hour, yeah, Scooby Snacks and Amanda, yeah, we could. There's some guys that come in a lot of times that because this is good time for them. But hey, Amanda likes to hit the beach. She might be on the beach somewhere. She is good for her. So I see her post beach pictures on Facebook a lot. She's got her kids, her boys. She likes to take them out and have some fun. That's a good thing. Greg, Janet is fine. She keeps sending me pokes on Facebook. Yeah, yeah, I know she's okay. That's just we just didn't see her in our chat room. So I see her when she's on Facebook. Well, thank you for the report there, Rodney, because we do worry about our members here. So I just want to thank everybody. My chat dropped out. Sorry, guys. So my internet dropped out. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I got frozen. Oh, what happened? I lost my chat room completely here on the computer. Yeah, 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 yeah. But it looks like I still got it on my phone. Wow. All right. This is nuts. All right, so I got it on my phone here. What did I miss? No audio. Okay. Yeah, hey, we got Sweden in the house. I was about to ask y'all to do before I got knocked out. I don't know what's going on. Some Starlink glitch, I guess. Everybody tell us where you're from before we go. Where you from, guys? I know where Arnold's from. He's from Canada. Alberta. Western Alberta. Give us a quick where you from since we're here such crazy hours. And we're going to go here in a little bit. Where's everybody from? No audio. That's what's going on here. Okay, it's good now. Okay. Everybody tell us where you're from, and then we're going to go. Lagging voice. Down under. Yes, Rodney. That we know. Well, good to have you here. Let's see. Missouri man talking to you from the Philippines. Wow. We have built a bug out castle. Hey, that's great. You want to say hi to Steve Poplar because he's moved to the Philippines. He's half the time. Lip unsync. I can't help that. That's a software issue. All right. Southern Maine. Kim Possible. Southern Maine. You're over close to New Days. She's in Northern Maine though. Michigan. Kim Possible's up early. Or up really late. I don't know which it is, but up real early or up late. All right, I'm not seeing anything new come up in the chat room here. Still no audio. Oh, well. I don't know what's going on, guys. Everyone's once I glitched out. I'm gonna try to pull up my channel. What is happening here? We'll try to pull it up from my computer. Ah! Can y'all hear me now? Saying though, takers to my offer is now officially withdrawn. Okay, guys, y'all had a chance for a beautiful knife, but the offer has been withdrawn. Okay, it's loud and clear. Okay, good. I don't know what's going on here. I guess the internet's glitching. So, yeah, I've tried to pull it up, the channel here. I'm just glad you're a smart lady. Lives on top of the mountain. Who are you talking to, Arnold? uh, anyway, hey, Eddie. All right, guys, we're going to call it a night here. We're having computer glitches now, something's going on. So I'm going to just call it a night. And I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you, Kim Possible, for the wonderful super chat. Uh, Portland, Oregon, not near the downtown area where all the protests are. Well, that's good. Elijah, you're not there. So you'll have to give us a report what's happening. So, yeah, thank you, Kim Possible, for the super chat. Thank you, Mods, for all you've done here, keeping the channel clean. I have posted some things that might uh, draw in some uh, trolls, so y'all need to be aware, and y'all need to be aware of everything going on in the country right now. Be situationally aware at all times, and you just want to avoid the big cities if you can, especially going downtown. A lot of stuff, bad stuff, going. Yeah, stay warm, everybody. Especially we're having a real cold snap here for the next few nights, so stay warm. Thank you everyone for watching, and I want to say a happy new year, and to one and all, a good night, good day, wherever you are. Ho, ho, ho.